Hey guys, Chef Mark here. A lot of people tend to eat corned beef only on St. Patrick's Day, but I think it's great any time of the year. Let me show you what I'm gonna go get here. So this is a corned beef brisket. Doesn't mean there's corn on the inside. It's an old English term, refers to them curing it with basically corns of salt. But look at the bottom of this. So this is a brisket, so there's lots of striations of fat that are inside here that throughout the long period of cooking are gonna keep this thing really nice and moist. There's a little packet in here of some spices, but I think when we're going to cook this, we're going to bump that up a little bit. Let me show you what I mean. All right, this is it. This is the pickling spice. This is what's inside that corned beef package, that little packet in there. We're going to intensify the flavor of the final dish by adding some more of the pickling spice. Let's go cook this thing. Okay, putting this corned beef together is really pretty easy, but there's a couple little tips and tricks that I want to show you that's really going to enhance the meal. So what we have here is 12 cups of water, and I'm going to take my corned beef here, and we're going to place it inside the water. Eventually we're going to bring that up to a simmer of medium-high, but let's put the spices in. So that little packet that came with it, make sure you put that whole thing in there. But there's also that half a jar, which is about a quarter cup of the pickling spice mix here, which has things like coriander, allspice, chilies, cinnamon, mustard seed. There's a lot of stuff in there. So we're gonna put this in there. Again, medium high or so, bring it up to a simmer. Once it gets there, we're gonna let it sit there and cook for about 2.5, maybe 3 hours until that gets really nice and fork tender. Okay, so I want to show you this simmer here. This is what it looks like. We just got a little bit of bubbles going here. At this point, I'm going to turn that down to low and let that continue to go for about that 2.5, 3 hours. But all those spices are starting to let off a lot of that flavor in the liquid, which is going to penetrate that corned beef as it cooks. Okay, so our corned beef here is really nice and tender at that point, but let me illustrate that for you. If you come in here and pull apart that corned beef, it just starts to pull apart like that and looks fantastic. So it's about 2.5, 3 hours or so to get to that point. So I'm going to move this to a platter, which I'm going to reserve because I need to cook my vegetables inside that liquid. But let's strain this stuff out here because there's some solids in there. I'm going to get rid of the spices. So strain that out. And then what I'm going to have you guys do is, instead of adding the liquid back in and dumping the vegetables on top of that, add your vegetables inside a dry pan here so nothing splashes on you. And that's 3 carrots, we got a pound of red potatoes, and I got a quarter head of green cabbage, which I cut in 2 pieces. And now, all you got to do is take this liquid, pour it back over the top, and we're going to bring that up to a simmer. But I'm also going to add a tablespoon of salt, because that corned beef is drawn a lot in there. We want to flavor these veggies, so a little bit of salt in there. Medium high, bring it up to a simmer. Those are going to take about 20 minutes to cook or so. Okay, so now that our vegetables are really nice and tender, we're going to start to plate this thing up. So we're going to take our corned beef and we're going to slice that. And the way to slice that, we're going to go against the grain. If we look at this, you're going to be able to tell where the grain runs on this, and you're going to basically slice that opposite so it's going to eat nice and tender. So I'm going to sort of slice this on the bias, if you will. Thin slices. It's going to fall apart nice. And then, once we got those pieces falling apart, and then don't worry if that thing starts to fall apart. That means you've done a good job. So now we need to get some of those veggies out of here. So I go into that same strainer. I'm going to fish these out. And your potatoes will be nice and tender, but your cabbage, since we didn't core it at the bottom, is going to stay nice in one piece like that. So you can easily fish that out. I'm going to serve that maybe with a little bit of our Dijon mustard here. And put our corned beef right on the side. All right, these last couple pieces of beef. And you know what? Why somebody would wait to serve this only one time a year is beyond me.